Hey, welcome to Camping Gear TV. I'm Josh, and with us today we have a special guest.
Tony Heck, pleased to meet you.
Tony Heck is a longtime avid camper, canoe guy. What else do you do?
I'm a river rat.
A river rat is the right way to put it.
Yeah.
Not canoe guy?
Not so much.
All right. There you go.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Well, today we're just going to do some topics of cold weather camping. First thing we're going to do is put up a shelter. That's one of the three things you need: food, water, shelter, or beer in Josh's case.
Yep, beer. Bush beer. So by shelter, what else you call it? You called it the Tarp City?
Well, sometimes we'll put a tarp city. Today we're just going to put up one tarp as a cover for any precipitation, snow, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something to help retain some heat, reflect some heat from a fire that we would have.
Nice.
That's what we're going to do right now.
Nice.
Later we'll go over some other stuff.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about that retaining heat and reflecting heat, and what that.
Well, when you have a campfire,
yeah.
that if you have just a simple ring of rocks, that heat is gonna travel all around,
right.
Completely 360. We want to direct that heat. We want to have a fire stop on the opposite side of the fire that we're going to sit, so some of that heat's going to come back. We'd also like to have a reflector behind us, so that the heat that does come back in, it kind of stays in around that area. It just warms that whole zone up.
And you'll do that by setting up tarps.
Well, I'll set up a tarp. Yeah, it's a windbreak. It's also cover your precipitation and reflect some of the heat back in.
Sweet. So let's get going.
Sure.
Put it up.
Once we find a tree, you don't want to hurt the tree. Tie a simple bowline or something around it. Don't use wire or nails, any of that jazz.
Right.
Simple knot like that.
That's a pretty sweet little knot.
It's a quick release. It won't tighten up on itself. It's easy to undo.
Nice.
So you want to put this about head height. What we'll do is we'll have a higher opening, and then we'll taper it back down to the ground. And again, I'm not sure how that big that tarp is, but we'll just stretch this out. And we've got plenty to cover it. And you want to get it fairly taut. This is what's going to carry the load. The tarp is just going to protect us from the wind and stuff. It's not a structural element.
Okay.
Let the rope do all the work and carry all the load. You'll see how we do that with this tarping technique. We can actually take much more time on the topic of tarp rigging. There's a lot of different methods. This is just one. It's good to have your tarp already prepared.
Now, are there any like brands of tarp?
That's a great question.
That you prefer over another?
Not necessarily brands, but grades. There are different grades. The grades escape me now. The light blue ones are really lightweight. They're going to tear. They're not going to last but a couple of seasons of any hard use. You can get these in a heavier thickness, a heavier gauge plastic. I'm not sure what the proper term is, but this is a pretty heavy one. I've had this tarp about 10 years.
Wow.
It's past its retirement date, but
looks pretty solid.
Still works. By preparing your tarp ahead of time, put a bunch of ropes on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see his tarp already has all these little ropes tied to the corners and all the holes, so that it's all good to go.
What we do with these are on here permanently, and these are what's going to tie to that main rope. So you're not stretching, you're not tying a rope to that corner and pulling it taut, and then putting a rope at the other opposite end of the tarp and pulling it. You're straining the tarp. You're going to tear the tarp. You're going to tear the grommets out. That'll kill the tarp. By doing this and letting that rope carry the load, you're going to be able to keep your tarp for a long, long time. Just a series of simple knots. Something you can undo quickly. Who knows how long you're going to be out there. You notice we're putting the silver side of this tarp is going to be the bottom face. I think that might help hold more heat back from a fire placed out here. Okay. Very good. Now we just run it back. we'll tie it off at the back, or you can just put some logs or something on it to hold the back tight. And then we find a piece of dead wood that we can use as a center pole. You can't see this due to the overhanging vegetation here, but there's a system that you can use to hold this fairly taut. I think they call it a barrel lashing. Just run this around several times. You tuck it back through it, and then you can tie it off.
Cool. And
the knot's tension kind of holds it, the tarp in place pretty sturdy. All right, now, if our host would drink his beer quicker, we'd have a proper can to put on top of this stick. Tearing the top off of a beer can works really well when you can cap this so it won't poke holes in the tarp. There we go. That's pretty much it right there. Here's your basic shelter. If you wanted to get fancy, you could actually tie this securely with a barrel lashing and then move that end down to the ground, and you could make like a dome shape.
Yeah.
This is your basic tarp shelter.
Yeah.
A series of these is a tarp city.
Yep.
Sometimes if it's going to be windy, I'll make a box shaped layout with a really big tarp, and then I'll cover half of that U shape. I'll cover the top of that with another tarp, a couple more poles like this, build a fire near that. That heat kind of builds back in the covered part of that U-shaped room or box you built, and you can stay really warm. On 0-degree nights, it's as warm as 30 back in that little cove, which is a nice luxury when it's that cold out.
Nice.
All right.
All right. So that's it.
That's it. That's your tarp right there. Notice how it's rigged. Each grommet has small lines tied to it, and the main line carries all the load.
Yep.
That'll save your tarps.
So that's how to put up a tarp. Be sure to check out our next episode in a few days. Tony will be back with us again. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.